Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and we are here with another edition of Coffee and MTG, where you're gonna cozy up to a nice cup of coffee or tea or whatever you need to drink at whatever time of the day it is around the world, and let's have a discussion this morning about Magic. I'm here to answer your questions. If you have questions, hopefully I've got the answers to help you in your Magic journey. So I'm here, I made myself some Nescafe Gold. I don't know, let's see what happens. I'm gonna like tag Nescafe in like all my Twitter tweets. Maybe I'll grab their attention, they'll give me something. Give me something, Nescafe. I've been drinking the damn stuff for a long time. If you want to know what Nikachu drinks in the morning, it's Nescafe Gold. It gives me the kick, and it doesn't taste like garbage. It tastes good. It tastes good! And it's just normal coffee. Good morning, Kyoka. Good morning, Lord Magicus and Wajias. Let's see, what do we got here? Yes, good morning. Okay, Lord Magicus has his Starbucks Mocha Frappuccino ready. I love those. I love the chocolate chip Frappuccinos. I'm a huge fan. Something nice and cold sweet gives me a good buzz. I'm a huge fan of those Frappuccinos. So yeah, Magic World, sort of a lot of things going on. We're all quarantined. Let's hang out today and keep each other company, as we need to spend probably still a lot more time indoors instead of outside. And you know what? This is the best way to do it. I love hot drinks. I love cold drinks. Whatever floats your boat. We're here to talk Magic today. Good morning, Lassie. Good morning, Mikey J. Always here immediately. He knows how to use the subscribe button and the notification bell. I can tell some people know how to use this really well. Does it work, by the way? Who is using the bell? I'm curious. Does this thing actually... I think it works. I think it works very, very well. Good morning, McCafe. McCafe Coffee here. Hey, I'm a fan of McCafe as well. Sorry, Tim Hortons, but you have actually been displaced by the McCafe stuff. Good morning, Hunter. He's watching at work. Don't worry. I won't say anything. No one's gonna tell Hunter's boss that he's watching. By the way, I've heard from a lot of DMs that a lot of people are watching at work, so it's all good. Good morning, Niels. And we've got, what a great morning. We already got our first super chat from Dio Brando. Thank you very much for the super chat. How do I do this? This is the heart emoticon. Ta-da! I gotta practice my heart. Anyway, what if Hogak was a companion? I mean, it almost basically was. The card advantage doesn't even matter. With Faithless Looting and Stitcher Supplier, the rate that you saw Hogak across from you was super, super high. If Hogak was a companion, I guess instead of 70% of the top 8s being Hogak decks, it would be just 100%. Just 100%. Like, what would be the line of play? There's got to be some, if Hogak is your companion, then you probably could easily... There's got to be some turn 1 card that you just dump a bunch of cards into your own graveyard, self-mill, and then boom, you've got Hogak basically online immediately. So if Hogak was a companion, I don't know. That really is the Armageddon of the MTG world. All right, so what else is going on here? Lord Magicus says, so post-ban, how long do you think before Wizards of the Coast changes companion? That is... You see, are you talking about this post-ban or a future banning where they're actually literally going to change the rules? Because I have good reason to believe that they want to change the rule right now. They just can't. They can't on a short notice just change the software all the time, on MTG Arena or Magic the Gathering Online. I mean, not only that, it would be so confusing to change the rule so soon. You already pump people up and hype them for 2 months about companions and how the rule works, and this is the new card type, and it's outside the game, it's in your sideboard, and you can play it anytime you want, and then everyone has fixed in their mind exactly how companion works. And then all of a sudden you change the rule, almost immediately after the paper release. I think that's really confusing to the consumers. So they might want to wait. I mean, I don't know what the barrier is to changing the rules, but it might be like 6 months before they would like legitimately want to change the rule. Like let everyone get used to the rule as it is right now, and then make a new announcement. We're changing the rule. I don't know how much time that must take for Wizards to want to make that change, but I think maybe at least 6 months. I'm not sure. It would come up to Wizards, but I can see that being a complete disaster, changing the rule to companion on such short notice, and then you get people conflicting like, no, 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 that's not how it works. I learned how companion works. I saw it online. And then the other person will be like, no, 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 you don't know how it works. They changed the rule, and so that's not going to be good for. It's not good for consumers, especially at the pony level. Now, when are they going to ban something? So I investigated, because I plan on making a video later today about this. I investigated how long it took them to ban things like Treasure Cruise. It took them 4 months after the release of Khans of Tarkir to ban Treasure Cruise. And that just puts in perspective how maybe entitled the modern day Magic community is when it comes to bannings. They feel like, oh, Wizards can ban anything at any second. They should do it. But while they have that option at their disposal, historically they have not abused that power. They just haven't abused the power like that. I mean, even when Hogak was around, we had to live through it for what, about 2.5 months, something like that. So Hogak was around for a little while. They let the card play out no matter what, and even historically. And remember, the Treasure Cruise era did way worse to Modern than like what we have right now. It did way worse. There was basically, I want to explain in my video, like Splinter Twin, the boogeyman of the format, the absolute nightmare. I mean, Splinter Twin has like the legacy behind it as the police of Modern, the fun police, preventing a lot of archetypes from coming into existence. That deck got pushed out during the Treasure Cruise era because it was just a worse Treasure Cruise deck than Blue-Red Delver. It was just worse. It was just worse. So I mean, if you played Twin, you were just playing it because you were too stubborn to move to the Treasure Cruise deck. And they let Treasure Cruise exist for 4 months. And I don't really remember the Twin players complaining, oh, the Modern is all warped and busted and stuff like that. So the banning of Loris still might take some time. It still might take some time. Could be another month, could be another 2 months, could be up until the next release of the next set. But we know from Treasure Cruise at least took 4 months. I didn't have time to investigate quickly how quickly Eye of Ugin got banned, but Eye of Ugin was still around for a little while, at least a month. So they're gonna let us play with the card for a while. Back in the day, we only got a banning once every 3 months. And Wizards said that they're not, even though they could ban something every week, they're still going to ban things along the same lines like they used to. Oh yeah, so Lord Magic says Eye of Ugin was something with. Eye of Ugin got banned after Eldrazi Winter came about, and Eye of Ugin was legal for like 3 months. Where there was basically, it was like Hogak for 3 months. Very similar to how Hogak existed in Modern. And it's debatable whether it was worse or not, but there was a lot of hype still hype during the Treasure Cruise and Eldrazi Winter metagame for Modern. Everyone was still pumped for Modern, so even though, it turned into a disaster of a format, I guess people are still just having fun anyway because, hey, it's Modern. Somehow, everyone's attitude is very different today. Like, Luris has not turned the metagame into a pile of shit. I mean, you still have diversity. You did not have diversity in the Treasure Cruise era. You did not have diversity in the Eldrazi Winter era. Same thing, and I could say the same thing about the Hogak era. Hogak was also a pile of crap. But this Modern is playable. Like, it's at least playable. Maybe not everyone likes how it's being played out, just like how not everyone liked how the Oko metagame played out, but it's a hell lot more playable than in the past. So this is not new, is what I'm trying to get at. And so we might see, based on history, this play out for still quite a few months. It's just just how it is. That's how Wizards has made their decisions in the past, and I think that's how we can expect to see Wizards make their decisions going on into the future. All right, so moving on. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I got that is worth a sip of my coffee. Delicious Nescafe Gold. I got maybe I can be part of some sort of affiliate program with Nescafe Gold. Why not? I mean, I drink the damn stuff. Why not promote what you use? You know, that's just how it is. That's how being an influencer works. I can influence more people to drink coffee than to buy cards. Yes. Good morning, Niels. Good morning, Lantern. Lassie says, would you recommend Devoted Devastation is a good deck? Yes, Devoted Devastation is a very good deck. Laplacian is like destroying people online, many 5-0s, not many games dropped, making top 8s of a lot of modern events. Devoted Devastation right now is one of the premier decks that you have to beat in modern. Very strong combo deck, very resilient to hate. And Luris puts it over the top because any combo pieces that go to the graveyard, they can just come back. So the Devoted Devastation is one of the best decks right now. If you want to get into Devoted Devastation, now's a good time. I can't promise how good it's going to be after Luris gets banned, which I believe is just an inevitability. Just same thing they did with Oko, but right now, very, very, very powerful deck right now. Lantern uses the bell. Excellent. So there are people who... No, you know what? I totally believe that Lantern uses the bell, because Lantern is usually like the Mr. First on all the videos, which is all good. I love having a #1 fan. Kyoka66, Nikachu for paper. Should I change my Blitz deck to Boros or hold off for a future ban and when the shutdown is over? So I'm assuming you're talking about Mono Red Prowess versus Burn? Which I think, I mean, that's up to you, because both those decks are very similar in power level. They're both very, very good. Burn is very good, and I think Mono Red Prowess is very good. And I don't think you can go really wrong between which one you want to go with, especially since both of them are so resistant to changes in the metagame. Like, Burn's been around for 6 years. 6 years! Burn has always been around for forever. And Mono Red Prowess just came into existence like about a year ago, but I mean, it was one of the playable decks during the Hogak era. So that shows the power of this fair deck. It can play a fair game, but it also can just go way over the top with an unfair game. I mean, it feels like a combo deck. It feels like a fair deck that, pending what's going on the board state, or if you don't interact with them at all, boom, they can just combo off and beat you. So I think... you know, whether you want to switch now or later, I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. I think they're both very, very strong options, and I think they're both going to be very playable no matter what, if there's going to be a ban or a no ban. So I have no preference for either of those archetypes right now. Joe Graves says, good morning. What do you mean exactly when you say pony? So pony is like basically a beginner, a rank beginner. But I can also say even if you've been playing Magic for like 6 years and you still play like a ranked beginner, then you're still a pony. That's the easiest way to explain it. You know the pony when you see them. You know it's not just the play style. It's also like the attitude towards the game and etc. They're like super far. Like if we take a spectrum of fun and competitive, they're like super far over here, and they're a beginner. That's basically the pony. You can tell. You can tell. Mikey J doesn't know what the bell is. Mikey J is just staring at my YouTube channel, just waiting for something to update, and then when it is, he's ready to click. Or he's got like a script to automatically open the next new live chat that we have here. So for everyone who's just joining us, welcome, good morning. I'm here drinking my Nescafe Gold coffee. Not sponsored at all, yet. And we've already opened up with some awesome, great questions. Handsome Dan, do you think the Triumphs could see play in Merfolk? No. And the problem is, and you know what? At first I was curious about it, But then I realized I don't even play the dual lands. So like Amonkhet came out with cycle lands that were just dual lands. And you know what? You would think that those could see some play in Modern, but none of them really did. So the fact that it comes into play tapped is just way too much of a downside. Worst case scenario, if I was playing a 3 or 4 color deck, we've got like Ancient Ziggurat, Cavern of Souls, and what's it called? Ancient Ziggurat, Cavern of Souls, and Unclaimed Territory. If they were cheap enough, maybe they could see some budget use for like a 2-color deck. Because honestly, putting a land into play tapped is not that devastating of a disadvantage if you're playing on a budget, but at a competitive level, I don't think it's going to happen. Mikey J asks, question, what is the deal with Waterlogged Grove? How many should we be playing? Okay, so the deal with Waterlogged Grove, I am most comfortable at 3. I think 4 is going overboard. However, okay, so let's put it this way. At 10, you could play that against attrition-based decks and combo decks in a combo-heavy metagame. But if it is like very aggro, we're talking like Human Spirits, Eldrazi-tron, and very burn and prowess heavy, like, you know, burn and mono-red prowess, a lot of decks that are dealing damage to you, you want to go lower on them. And I find like the sweet spot might be 3. That might be like a good spot where you might see one, but you're not likely to have multiples. And maybe you could go down to 2 if it gets like really harsh. Because like against decks like Humans, for example, it's not really going to come down to card advantage. So you don't need to turn your lands into something. It's all going to come down to tempo and life. That's going to be the 2 most important factors. Your life resource and your ability and mana resources. So like how well you use your mana. And if you're tapping out all the time and spending life on that Waterlogged Grove, that's not good. That's not a good sign. So I'm, even though in the Hogak era, I could sort of see I don't even know if 4 was correct during the Hogak era, because we still took a lot of damage against the prowess deck, and probably cracking it in the Hogak era wasn't even that important. So, but that might be my thing. If your life as a resource is not so important, go to 4. If it is important, go down to 3 or maybe to 2. I don't know, but anyway, that's my answer. Good morning, Farron. Good morning. Good morning, Tuxdev. Good morning, Kyle. Kyle uses the bell. So the bell works. YouTube works. A lot of people complain YouTube is not working. A lot of content creators say that my people aren't getting like the bell notification. Well, I mean, maybe sometimes YouTube is broken. To be brutally fair, like YouTube has benefited me in a lot of ways. As more people complain about YouTube, like YouTube works for me, so it's working for somebody. I have 0 complaints about YouTube. Whatever, the algorithm is all benefiting me. Everything's been good. All right, so Carlos Gorner, hi Nikachu, do you think that a mono blue tempo deck similar to the old standard deck could exist in Modern? Would it be just a worse Merfolk deck? Keep up the great content. No, I'm sorry. I don't have any good way of putting it, but the mono blue tempo deck has not a damn chance in Modern. And the reason for this is that mono blue tempo only worked in Standard because the removal was really clunky. Like it was between 2 and 3 mana, and that made cards like Dive Down, which is in general a really, really bad card, and cards like Spell Pierce, very useful, very, very good. So when you play this one dinky little creature and you put a Curious Obsession on it, you really run away with the game. Because if they don't kill it, so if you play Curious Obsession, attack, draw a card, if your opponent can't kill it by next turn, I mean, they're basically lost. That's how that deck worked. But in Modern, there's so much removal. And it's not just so much removal, there's a lot of really mana efficient removal. That Curious Obsession, is not really that big of a deal, because like for example, there had Curiosity, which is like the old version of Curious Obsession, has been around in Modern for basically forever, and it's seen some play in, or not maybe not exactly Curiosity, but Keen Sense, which is the green Curiosity, has seen play in Boggles, and it's just the enchantment, 1 green, if the creature deals damage, draw a card. And really, it's not even that impressive in that deck. And that's we're talking Bogles, which has hexproof creatures. So if it's not really seeing play there, I would say making a blue creature deck um, that is really dependent on Curious Obsession is also just not going to get there. The strategy worked really well because Standard was clunky, the removal was clunky, but it was tried. I will say that it was tried. People tried to port it to Modern, and it just didn't work. There's just way too much removal. It's way too much spot removal. Thoughtseize and Inquisition is going to eat you up really badly if you keep a one creature hand and you get Inquisition, you're dead. I know you got used to Thought Erasure in Standard, but in Modern we've got Inquisition of Kozilek and Thoughtseize, which on turn 1 on the play is going to rip away your creature, and then basically the rest of your deck does nothing. So that's the unfortunate truth about that archetype. I know people are really excited about that, getting it into Modern, that archetype, but the reason why it worked in Standard does not. It just does not port very well to Modern. Now that being said, I've seen the Tempo deck in Historic, MTG Arena's Historic. So if you want to play that deck, there is a non-rotating format for you, and I've seen it a lot. And they're playing not only Curious Obsession, but they're also playing with Sea Dash or Octopus. So that is an upgrade to that deck. So by all means, if you are interested in continuing to play that deck going on into the future, try Historic. All right, my brother's here. I just have to get the. I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be back. We're not done here. We're not done. Hello?
I'm here.
All right, come up. All right, my brother's just coming up. That's all. He's here early. We're gonna make some videos. We're playing Modern today. So yeah, I don't think. It doesn't port very well to Modern, but it does have a place definitely in Historic. All right, great question though, great question. I know because a lot of people are so curious about porting the Blue Tempo deck to Modern, so that was a really good opportunity for everyone to know where it stands in the format. Oh, I locked my brother out. All right, come in. All right, what's going on here? Okay, Niels Nielsen. My friend called Eldrazi a pony deck. Do you think that it is? No, I don't think so. That's a top tier competitive deck. I think a pony deck is more of like those really super fringe archetypes that barely see play, but people just want to play them anyway because like that's their deck. A really good example is like generally Mill. I know Mill has got a little bit of momentum and evolution over the last little few years, but you know traditionally that was a pony deck because it doesn't have any results and just once in a blue moon gets like a 5-0 or something like that. Another example of a pony deck might be Soul Sisters of today. Like I think Soul Sisters is little like I'm talking about in Modern. I think Soul Sisters is close to being like a real deck, but at the moment the real innovations haven't been there. So I mean if you want to play Soul Sisters today in 2020 without any innovations, I mean hey, it's all good to play pony decks. There's nothing wrong with that. But it definitely needs some work. What else could be considered a pony deck? Like basically any tier 4 deck is a pony deck. Eldrazi tier 1. And even Laplacian, who's like dumped the deck, like the deck is still pulling in results. It has like a bunch of finishes over the last weekend, for example. So that is not a pony deck. That is serious stuff. You can expect to win a tournament with that deck. You cannot really expect to win a tournament with the pony deck. That's basically how it is. Mikey J says Tron is a pony deck. I mean, maybe a lot of ponies will play Tron, but I wouldn't call that a pony deck. So Ivor Vassera says, my gut feeling is that they'd want to change the rule ASAP so people understand how bad it is. Maybe. So Johan scoffed me. Who would calls E-Tron a pony deck? It seems easy to play, but not pony. That's true. It's not a pony deck. Those are serious decks. Those are stallion decks. We're gonna rename it the stallion. If you're a pony or you're a stallion. The stallion is trying to win the race. The pony is eating grass at the starting line. That's the difference. They like eating the grass. They're having fun, laying around, sniffing each other's butts and stuff like that. Let's see. Lantern says, how many decks have been pushed out of the meta because of companions? That is a good question, because I did analyze quite recently how many decks are still around due to the companions, and like we've got new decks entering the meta game. Not new decks, but like decks have come back thanks to companions. Things like, you know, what's it called? We've got Hardened Scales Affinity, Devoted Devastation, Ad Nauseum, and I am definitely missing one. One more deck is back because of the companions. Maybe Neoform? That's not really the deck I'm thinking about. But the point is, like, there's, like, everything else is still around. You know, like Burn and Jund and Amulet Titan and Dredge and Humans and, like, a lot of the, Death Shadow, a lot of these archetypes are between 3 to 6 years old. Like, they're still around. Nothing really changed. Nothing's gone. Nothing moved. But the decks that have really been eaten up by companions, maybe Spirits, maybe Blue Moon, like just maybe these things. Like there's definitely some decks that were very small in meta share and then like just like totally collapsed after the companions. But like I wouldn't say any big decks died. It doesn't feel like any. I don't sense like any very strong archetypes are gone. If you go outside, close the door. I close the balcony door because otherwise we're gonna hear like woo 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 sirens and traffic and other garbage. So I can't. That's something I would have to look at. But for the most part, like we still have a very healthy, vibrant metagame. Most of the decks that existed before still exist. I would imagine. I don't know. Maybe some number of decks have been pushed out between 5 to 10. But mostly due to the fact that people just wanted to change playing that deck and play something else. Play like a companion deck. Lassie asks, are the cats here? One of the cats are on the balcony. The other cat is sleeping somewhere. Daniel Wilcox, good morning, Fish Fam. Good morning. Lantern remembers Eldrazi Winter. It was brutal. Yeah, it was brutal. But you know what? We sucked it up. There was a lot less complaining back then than there is now. I can't believe that we lasted like 3 months in Eldrazi Winter. Can anyone else believe that? 3 months went by, and maybe we didn't love it, but we just sucked it up. There's definitely more complaining, or there's more whining about like the companions today than there was of Eldrazi Winter. Maybe things are magnified now because like the companions affected every format, whereas like the only format really badly affected by Eldrazi Winter was Modern. Like there was an Eldrazi deck created in Legacy, but no one cared. There was no Eldrazi deck really to be made in Vintage, and like Standard, whatever. Standard is Standard. Nothing really happened. Joseph Sokolovsky, how do you make a living? What jobs have you worked in the past? In the past, I have given coaching for poker and chess, also playing poker myself. In the past, I've also washed dishes. I'm actually quite good as a dishwasher. That was my first job when I was like 16 years old or something like that. What else have I done? And then I started going into YouTube. And basically, now this is my job. Make money from like patrons, ad revenue, some affiliate money. What else? I'm definitely missing something. Then like sprinkles of money from like merch or other things. Some coaching, for example. So you know, that's basically how I do it. It's a lot of fun. And also a very rewarding job. Super chats. Got to grind that $2 at a time. The American money goes a much longer way right now in Canada. Everything is good. I mean, the American dollar is much higher than the Canadian dollar. It just sucks when it's the other way around, which almost never happens, but it has happened once after the 2008 financial crisis. Lassie, how do I get sponsored? create a YouTube channel or create a Twitch channel. But if you make a if you get on Twitch, then basically you also have to make a YouTube channel, because it's impossible to grow on Twitch unless you're actually growing somewhere else on another media platform. So I'm sponsored because I have I have a pretty good sized chunk YouTube channel, and I don't know exactly what you mean by sponsored, but like let's talk Card Hoarder. So I can rent cards for free from Card Hoarder because I'm sponsored by them. And basically, I grew a following on YouTube. I have good numbers. I have a lot of people who are watching my channel. I get good views. I have a good chunk of subscribers. I have good engagement. And I don't know exactly what metrics they use to accept me into their program, but I imagine like I blow most of the metrics away, and they accept me, and then now all of a sudden I'm sponsored. So in exchange for being able to borrow cards, whenever I borrow cards, I notify I thank them for, you know, sponsoring me. And also I have them, if you see at the top of my YouTube channel on the main page, I give them a little space saying Card Hoarder. So that's basically how I get sponsored. But so you can't get sponsored as like a complete nobody. You got to give them basically some idea that they're going to get some value out of you. And I provide that what's it called? I provide that value by, you know, giving them media attention. Card Hoarder is a great website, by the way. I really like how you can put everything in your shopping cart. I think it's really convenient. So, you know, Card Hoarder is great. I'm very happy to be sponsored by them. Ivor Veraska, instant coffee. Oh, it's not everyone believes in Nescafe Gold. Apparently not everyone believes. Not everyone believes. So this is a sponsor I'm waiting for. Is anyone from Nescafe Gold watching? Is anyone watching? Look, I'm promoting the product just because I like it. Give me something. Give me more Nescafe stuff. Give me all your coffees. Send them my way. My DMs are open on Twitter and Facebook. And, you know, message me. You can, I'm sure if you try, you will find me. I will advertise all the coffees. I'll give coffee reviews on the channel. Right, this one's very delicate and nice. It's not too bitter. It's actually got some good flavor. You know, aside from like some gas station coffee, which tastes revolting. I like this. It's not like really smooth, but you can smooth it out with some creamers. But that's not a big deal breaker for me. It just has good flavor and has a good kick, in my opinion. Keeps me awake. Keeps me happy. You see the energy that I have? You want that energy? You get that Nescafe Gold instant coffee. All right, we got a super chat. Super chat by Dio Brando. Is this the second super chat from Dio Brando? It is! All right, Dio Brando's very generous. How would you build a modern Merfolk deck for Meme Monday? Oh, how would I do it? What would the new meme deck be? You know what? I would explore the combo. I would probably seriously explore the Pure Sight Marrow. Is that what I'm talking about? With okay, what's the combo? Help me out here. How does the Merfolk combo work with the equipment that gets attached to I think the Pure Sight Marrow Pure Sight? Can't remember the names here. Pure Sight Marrow and Paradise Mantle. So Pure Sight Marrow has this ability that if you untap it, you can look at the top card of your library. I believe you can like basically dump it into the graveyard or something like that. How does this work? Someone let me know in the comment section. I basically know how it works. You can mill through your entire deck until you get to until you have a Thassa's Oracle in hand, or Thassa's Oracle on top of your library, then mill the rest of your deck, Thassa's Oracle, you have no library left, and win. That is a deck that I think has gained a lot of percentage points because of Lurrus. Because if any combo piece goes into the graveyard, whether it be the Pure Sight Marrow or the, what's it called? Pure Sight Marrow or the Paradise Mantle, you can get it back from the graveyard because they are permanents that are cheap. They're 2 mana or less. So Lord Magic is here. You tap to add a mana, then untap to use the ability to exile. Whoops. Uh-oh. What am I doing here? Okay. You tap to add a mana, then untap to use the ability to exile the deck, and then play the Oracle to win with 0 cards. So I think the untap ability, it requires a mana, right? And Paradise Mantle says tap, add a mana. That's how it works. So equip this 0 mana enchantment, sorry, artifact or equipment, onto the Pure Sight Marrow, it has an ability, pay a mana, untap. So you tap it for a mana, then you pay a mana to untap it, to exile a card from the top of your library, and you start, and then, so basically you can loop this over and over again, exile your entire deck, play Thassa's Oracle. I think that's a pretty good way of doing it. But Dio Brando has another idea. So you say Mardu. How would you build a modern Merfolk deck for Meme Monday? What if we did it Mardu? Okay, so believe it or not, there actually are enough. I don't know about in red, but there are definitely enough white and black Merfolk that we would actually make a Merfolk deck. Believe it or not, like one of the main Merfolk colors is white, because that's what they did in, like, I guess the Lorwyn days. There are a lot of white Merfolk, so we could definitely make a, how can I put it, a Orzhov deck with a red splash for like Lightning Bolt, maybe Blood Moon, I don't know. We'll play with, what's it called, Arkham's Astrolabe in this deck. But I don't know exactly what the... I know Mire Triton we would definitely run in the black slot. We could definitely run, what's it called, Sig River Cutthroat. We could run... Oh, what are all the white merfolk? Pure Sight Marrow. That's a white merfolk. It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid. It works. It counts. So it's possible. It's possible. It would be super jank, but it's definitely possible. But you know what? That's the beauty of Troll Tuesday. It's all jank. It's all jank. Thank you very much for the super chats, though. Thank you very much. What do we got here? I'd probably just build the Mardu deck like a Mardu deck, like Mardu Pyromancer, but with no Pyromancer Merfolk. Just a bunch of Merfolk. But we just play with like Thoughtseize Inquisition and stuff. We wouldn't even play Aether Vial. Screw that. We would not play Aether Vial. All right, where did I leave off here? I don't even know. Tuxdev says, Junding is still Junding regardless of what you Jund with. This is true. This is absolutely true. Handsome Dead says, of course Lurrus is diverse. Some are splashing black, some are splashing white. The diversity. The diversity, people. Ivor Vasera says, I am a merfolk master, but the coffee noob. Well, you know what? I mean, you got to make, if you're a master of the coffee, you can show me the way. You got to show me, you got to make the YouTube channel showing all the noobs how to do it with the coffee. Not a noob. I've been drinking coffee my whole life. The correct answer is the coffee pony. Coffee pony. Because you can only be a noob in the beginning, but you can be a pony for forever. Remember that. You're only the noob. Noob is temporary. Pony is for forever. Mikey says just make a fake Nescafe promo code. Tuxev says his housemate mains all-in devastation. He was doing really well before the virus stuff. That's what he should be doing even better now. Doing absolutely better. Good morning, Endgame. Always prefers his Nespresso pods. Well, I'm glad we got a lot of coffee lovers here. Yeah, you gotta love the coffee. Hey, if you're anti-caffeine, that's fine. I believe it or not, I have met some people who are like anti-caffeine and are like pro-alcohol. I don't know how you can live with one and not the other. Let's see. Where's a lot of questions? Here we go. Oriol Heru. Hello, Nikachu. How do you see red/blue merfolk with Blood Moon? I like it. I like it a lot, and I don't know if we are in the metagame for it. Maybe we are. Maybe we're closer to the metagame than I think, because I was playing like blue-red merfolk with Blood Moon in Modern Challenges not too long ago, just a few months ago. I was playing without Aether Vial, and I do like the look of the deck. I do like what red has to offer. We can play with Fiery Islet, and I think Lightning Bolt is like really good in merfolk because it finally gives you a little bit of reach. There's a lot of games of merfolk where you attack, and your opponent is almost dead, but you can't really get through the last points of damage because your opponent stabilizes, but now Lightning Bolt just goes to their face, and finally you actually have a way of winning through your opponent stabilizing. So I really like Lightning Bolt in the deck. And Blood Moon, well, see, here's the thing about Blood Moon. It's not super well positioned, and that was what turned me away from the deck. I still like the blue-red shell, but Blood Moon, it needs to be good where Arkham's Astrolabe is not good. Or sorry, yeah, like Arkham's Astrolabe is really preventing us from making Blood Moon like a really powerful card. It's still good as a sideboard card. No, don't get me wrong, it's still a powerful card, but when you design your deck for Blood Moon, you are much better off this deck being good in the main, like this card being good in the main deck. That's where you want Blood Moon to be, and that's where when those sort of Blue Moon decks really got like really have Modern and the metagame by the neck. Blood Moon is good in the main deck. Still, I think I still like the blue-red deck a lot. My biggest problems were when Lightning Bolt was not good as a removal spell. So when Eldrazi is really strong, that is not a good thing. When like Death Shadow is a really popular strong deck, that's not a good thing. When the Titan decks are really popular, that's not a good thing. So when I was playing blue-red, that was a bit of a problem. Now you could say like against some archetypes like Titan, Blood Moon is good, and it is. It absolutely is. But also, I just want to say, like, you know, Blood Moon is not everything against Eldrazi. It's good. It's still a damn good card, but it's not everything. But Lightning Bolt needed to interact a little bit better against those really tough archetypes. So I would say, you know, this is definitely going to be a deck when Lightning Bolt's really strong and Blood Moon is strong at the same time. Thanks for the question. Hello, Lassie, too. Lassie Peterson. Mirko Cascone asks, when do you think Wizards of the Coast will ban companions in Modern? And do you think they will only ban Lurrus and Yorion? So just based on my research and as we were talking about today, it looks like they're going to ban things probably within a 3-month span of time. So definitely not now. They're going to wait probably at least 2.5 months if you even look at like what they were doing with Hogak. So it's gonna be a little while. You know, sit tight. It's gonna be a little while. It's gonna be around for a little while. We're only like 3 weeks in, maybe 3.5 weeks in for online play. So suck it up for another probably 2 months or 1.5 months. I think, like I don't know, but I would assume that they're definitely gonna ban Lurrus. And it's going to come down to their data, whether they're going to ban Yorion or not. They might go further, but those are just clearly the two big problems. It's really hard to take super big advantage of cards like Gigantha. Like most of the decks that will play Gigantha aren't really going to abuse it as an extra 8th card by all that much. And it's like really clunky. And, you know, clunk, even if card advantage doesn't matter when it's clunky, especially in Modern. You can just die anyway. Like you can just completely die outright to a much faster deck. So there's like a lot of clunky cards. There's a lot of clunky companions that I don't think are that dangerous to Modern, that are, I think, perfectly fine legal. That's up to Wizards to judge, though. It would be very interesting if they ban Lurrus and Yorion, and then things like Umori and Gigantha are still really powerful just because they literally are the 8th card. I think Yorion and Lurrus are just too valuable. They're just too powerful in themselves, like with their abilities. I'm not sold that the 8th card is the reason that it's busted. I think it is their abilities that are busted. When Yorion hits the battlefield and blinks a ton of stuff, they get like, it's like basically ancestral recall because they're going to get so much value from the blinking. And same thing with like Lurrus. Lurrus accumulates so much value from the graveyard that it is hard to overcome. Whereas like if it's just a random 8th card from your sideboard like Gigantha or Umori, I don't think it is that important. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But it would be interesting to see after they ban Yorion and Lurrus if those cards really are busted and they somehow take over Modern and everyone's playing a Gigantha deck and everyone's playing an Umori deck, then I will be sold by the 8th card argument. But for now, I think it's just going to be Lurrus and Yorion, and I think it's going to happen within like two-ish months from now. Same as like the Treasure Cruise metagame and the Eldrazi Winter metagame, and somewhat similar to the Hogak metagame. Great question, great question. Albert Werfring says, is it just me or is the video and audio mismatched? If anyone else has any complaints like that, I'm curious to know. Everything seems to be fine on my end, but I don't know, maybe it's not for everybody. Lantern's here with us. Thank you very much for the super chat. Oh, and also I'll give extra hearts to Dio Brando for the earlier super chats. Yay, heart. I need some sign here. Like I should have the coffee here and then have like some sort of heart thing, like heart super chats on the back. I haven't figured everything else. I haven't figured everything out, but I'll get to it. Lantern says he is forever a proud pony. Hey, do you know what? The best pony is a proud pony. Don't be ashamed of who you are. No, don't be ashamed. You just be yourself. Everyone, you know, you hear it in songs all the time. Everyone just be yourself. It's all good. It's all good. Everything's more fun when you're just yourself. It's no good. It's no problem being ashamed. I've been playing Merfolk for years. People have been making fun of me for forever. I don't care. I keep scooping up the wins. I do. That's how I enjoyed myself. Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that. You enjoy Magic how you want to enjoy Magic. Where did I go? I lost myself. Okay, I just gonna have to jump back in on the chat wherever I can. Nick Barth says, I don't think there are any pony players anymore. I think the premier new player deck is probably Mono Red Prowess, but even if you're a new, I think it's pretty easy to sideboard with. Really? You know, I always found like decks like Burn and Prowess were incredibly difficult for me to sideboard with because the cards just look so similar. I don't like they look so definedly similar. At least with Merfolk, for me, like, okay, counter spells, clearly this is what I bring in. And I don't know, maybe just because I'm a Merfolk master, I just clearly know what I have to side out. You know, attrition-based matchup, take out the mana sources like Aether Vial and some lands. Fast combo matchups, take out the most expensive cards. But then, like, when it comes to Burn, like, okay, so what is the big difference between Skullcrack and Boros Charm, for example? What is the big difference between, like, Lightning Bolt, Rift Bolt, what's it called? Lava Spike. Like, these are all similar cards. And are they better in some matchups? Are they worse? Sometimes, like, I can see, like, Searing Blaze is not going to be good against a deck that doesn't have any creatures. But let's say they do have... Okay, but, like, then when do I take out Rift Bolt? When do I take out Lava Spike? When do I take out Lightning Bolt, if that's ever a thing? So I personally have always found those red decks to be very, very difficult. And the differences are so nuanced that I still think it requires a master sideboarding plan in order to really eke out the advantages. You could also say, like, maybe there isn't any big disadvantage from setting out one from another, but still you need to eke out all those advantages, especially if your opponent's going to be bringing in some tough sideboard cards, especially like Life Gain. Especially like them core Firewalkers. No Good Comics Live. Hey, Nikachu. Good morning, No Good Comics. First time catching you live. Awesome. First catching you, too. Mikey J says, Eldrazi Winter was a good time to buy into Merfolk from a financial perspective. I mean, same thing right now. I mean, whenever, like, Modern goes to hell and some people start losing confidence, the prices go down, and double that because of, like, the world crisis. Now's a good time to buy into Modern. Modern is going to come back, all right? Whatever, if you're not happy, first off, a lot of people are still okay with Modern, but if you're not happy with Modern, it's going to come back. We've been through this. We've been through there with the Treasure Cruise era. We've been there with the Eldrazi Winter. We've been there through many things. So, like, I don't know where you came into Modern, but you came into a Modern that was born from a Modern metagame that was, like, heinous and needed a banning, and then boom, came a Modern metagame that you fell in love with, and you've stuck with up to this point. And after they banned some companions, it's going to give birth to another Modern metagame that even thousands more are going to fall in love with. Martin Grusovin, where can I find somebody to play with online with real cards? Damn, how do we do this? Is Handsome Dan in the chat? There is a Discord. Maybe try to Google it. I don't know if it's easy to find. Called Magic the Quarantining. Magic the Quarantining. It is a Discord server. One of my patrons runs it and monitors it, and he, like, I don't know if Handsome Dan can somehow give a link, because I don't think links show up in the chat, but somehow give like something space writeout.com or whatever, and you can try to follow that Discord server and play against people in paper. So you can play at home with your cell phone or your computer or your laptop. People see your board state, you see their board state, and you can play in paper. And that Discord is growing. And when I get my new computer, I would love to make a video about this so that everyone can play paper at home. Right now, I mean, you got the paper cards. I know you can't go play anywhere with them, but definitely there are communities out there where you can play paper Magic, play Modern Standard, play Commander with people online. So Magic the Quarantining, the Discord server. But I believe it is very difficult to plug in any links right now because it is the YouTube just like kills out links for the most part. There we go. Lord Magicus has a good link. It showed up. So follow that if you want to get involved with Magic the Quarantining and start playing some paper Magic online. Great question, and I hope a whole bunch of other people find that very useful and resourceful. So now I'm lost where I was. So I just got to start anywhere. Benjamin K says, how well positioned do you feel Mistcaller is right now in the current meta? It's okay. It's not great because like it's good against Neoform, but I don't know if we need the help. It doesn't work against companions because Mistcaller says if the creature was not cast, exile it instead, but companions are cast. So that's a problem. Same thing with Uro. Uro is cast from the graveyard for its escape cost, but it is still cast. So Mistcaller cannot interact with that as well. If I could interact with Uro, this thing would be great. And if it could interact with companions, this thing would be great. But unfortunately right now, I think Dredge is on a downtick. It's still around, but it's not like one of the decks to beat, or not one of the top decks to beat because of Lurrus recycling like things like Tormod's Crypt and stuff like that. It's good against Neoform, but I don't think we need it. We've got a lot of help. We already have enough cards like Chalice of the Void and Force Negation. So overall, like it's an okay card, but I don't think it's actually well positioned right now. Sandro Kosh asks, in a meta, modern, with mainly Blue-White Stoneblade, Burn, Humans, and Jund, which type of Merfolk deck would you recommend? That is not too tough, actually. I would say play Simic. You want to be aggressive. Simic probably is not ideal against Burn, but you can shore up the matchup by playing, you know, Chalice of the Void and stuff like that. Play some number of Master Waves in the main, and like play with 4 Master of Waves, maybe 2 in the main, 2 in the sideboard. The Master of Waves will be very good against Burn, very good against Jund, so against Humans, probably crappy against Stoneblade, but you want to go Simic because you need to be aggressive against Stoneblade. You don't have time to like dick around. You want to be aggressive also against Humans. Mono Blue is just a little too slow overall, and I think it's a wash between Mono Blue and whatever and Simic against Jund. I would prefer Mono Blue against Burn because you do want to save your life total. That's very important, but I think you still need to be aggro against Humans and Stoneblade. So I think that is the. It's tough. It's tough. I don't think you can go either way, but I would go with Simic. That's my answer. Stoneblade, you don't want to give them too much time either, or the Batterskull will like bury you. So Simic is just a much more powerful deck in that matchup. Great question though. That deserves a sip of coffee. That deserves a sip of coffee. If you're finding any value in this live chat, don't forget to give a like. If I've answered any questions that you've maybe have been wondering yourself in your head, that's got to be worth a like. We're getting everybody. We got to make the Magic community smarter and more informed. That's what we got to do. if there's ever a time to get your questions answered, it is definitely now. And I think there should be more of these Q&A things. Shouldn't everyone agree? Doesn't everyone agree? There should be more Q&A, like back and forth conversation with Magic players. It shouldn't be only like live gameplay. There should be some Q&As and stuff like this. So I'm very interested in like evolving this sort of show into the future. I think it's going to be very exciting. When we go to Twitch, it's going to be more than just gameplay. Oh, it's going to be more than just gameplay. I can't wait. I cannot wait for my package. Here I am. Here's Toronto, or sorry, here's Ottawa, Ontario, and then here's my package right now. It went to Quebec. I can't wait for it to go back to me so we can make my computer. Kyle Lynch, what's your opinion on mono blue Merfolk right now? So I have mixed feelings about mono blue Merfolk because one of the best decks right now is Burn in Prowess, like debatably the best decks, and mono blue is better positioned against them. And I do think you should be leaning towards getting as much edge as you can against those two archetypes. On the other hand, there's still a lot of decks where you just want to win very quickly, and just overall, I think Simic is just the better deck. But right now, we are seeing so much Burn in Prowess that it's hard to deny that the damage it hurts in the Simic matchup. It hurts, and I really hate losing games against Burn because I'm playing Waterlog Grove, where I have to take a shock somewhere. It's brutal. It's just brutal. I don't like it. So overall, I would say it's good. Like what can I say? Mono blue is good, but I'd still prefer to go the Simic route because it is just the more powerful deck overall. But things could change my mind. I have no problem with mono blue either. Let's see what's going on here. Good morning, Toby Clark. Good morning, everybody. As I drink my coffee, you have to have coffee in the morning. Well, I don't know if you have to, but I know I need to. Without the coffee, the brain it's just not the same. It's just not the same. What can I tell you? It's not the same. And I enjoy coffee. I'm still looking for questions. I forgot that we should have some sort of rule where you should give like triple question mark. Start and end the questions with triple question mark. Then it would be very, very easy to find. The Cody Hope. That's a good point. How many years should a modern deck be playable? And I believe he is responding to something Tuxdev said, is that with modern players are somewhat stubborn about dropping their decks. And as they should be. Like, I think a big problem is, like, there's a lot of people. Let's take Laplacian for a second. Like, Eldrazi Tron is not unplayable. Like, it's still putting up results. But it's not tier 1 like it used to. That's just how it is. It is, there's a lot of strategies superseding it right now. But you can still play it. But a lot of people, after they get a taste of tier 1, they want to stay there. They want those like really powerful, easy wins. So that's, I think if you can be complacent with a tier 2 deck, like I think like a lot of the modern community, so not a lot of, I could say a lot of the modern community, when people played red-green Ponza before it was tier 1, they played it because they liked red-green Ponza. When people bought into Merfolk because they liked Merfolk, they bought into it because they liked Merfolk. When people played, like even the Jund community, when Jund was clearly not tier 1 anymore, people played Jund because they loved Jund. They loved Tarmogoyf and Inquisition of Kozilek and Thoughtseize and Dark Confidant. When people so there was a huge Jund community that played it for tier 1, but then there was some Jund community that lingered around because it was even though it was tier 2. There was, what else like collapsed in meta? Amulet Titan was tier 2 for a very long time. Skyrocketed to tier 1, got banned. Summer Bloom got banned, went back to tier 2, but the people who played it still loved it. So like the key is to still love your deck even though it's not tier 1 and you don't have the easy wins anymore. And if you can accept that, you will have your deck for forever. But if you cannot tolerate games getting harder because certain decks have, or certain cards have gotten weaker because of newer cards entering the metagame, or a card from your deck got banned, that's when you're going to experience suffering. That's when you're gonna feel miserable all the time. And I don't, from my Merfolk perspective, I don't care what Wizards prints. I really don't care. They can print more Hogaks for all I care. I did fine in the Hogak era. I made a lot of I made a lot of ticks in the Hogak era, all right? Listen, believe me, with the tier 2 Merfolk deck, I scooped up a lot of ticks. I wish I could show you a picture of the 4 boxes that I earned at the Magic Fest. Day 2 Dryden was playing Burn. Rodney Top 8 Thompson was playing Mono Red Prowess, and combined, playing side events all weekend, they made 4 boxes. I played the main event, and I played side events, and I made 4 boxes. I've made 4 boxes by myself with the tier 2 Merfolk deck. So just find out what's valuable about your deck in the new metagame. Just make sure you're not playing the exact same deck as like a year ago. If you're not changing as Modern changes, that's the problem. You have to change as Modern changes. I understand there's can be cost attached to that. That's a different issue, but I mean, just to be brutally honest, Modern is, how do I put it? I want to put it like, it's a luxury format. It sort of is. It's sort of like how Legacy used to be. So it's not really for, I mean, there are some budget decks, but it's not really meant particularly for, it's not a very budget-friendly format. It just isn't. It's a sad reality. Sometimes there's a budget deck that you can play, but you know, it's a pricey format. It's costly, and it always has been. Oh, but I don't think I answered the question. How many years should a Modern deck be playable? All right, so let's answer the core question. How long should, I would say ideally forever. Maybe at least 3 years, I would say I think a deck should be able to last for at least 3 years, assuming it's not super OP. So that might be fair. But even after 3 years, ideally for forever. I think ideally for forever, as long as you don't want to give up on it. And if I look at the history of Modern decks, so long as people don't want to give up on the deck is still around. The deck is still playable. But I would say ideally 3 years, I think, is a good benchmark. Vanda M, what is the most precious card that I own? Probably my first one. I have a Thieving Magpie non-foil from Urza's Destiny. It was my very first card. Does everyone still own their very first card? I would think that was my most precious card. It's obviously not the most expensive card they own, but it's the most precious. It may not be, honestly, it may not even be the most sentimental, but like if there's any card that that is irreplaceable, like just genuinely irreplaceable, it's my first card. Like I could replace any other card I own. So if I lose it or it burned to the ground, I can just buy it again if I really needed to. All the foil Japanese stuff or any reserve list cards, it's possible to buy again. But my first card that I ever owned, if it burns in a fire, then it's over, it's gone, and I don't get it back again. I cannot get back my very first owned Magic card. So very curious if anyone else has or if they remember what the very first Magic card they ever owned touched and made their own. So, well, unfortunately Benjamin's collection got stolen. That's sad. Sorry to hear that. But yeah, my very first, the most precious card I owned is probably an Urza's Destiny Thieving Magpie. All right, so we'll go. Okay, we're now at the 1 hour mark, so 3 more questions. Kyle gave away his deck. Have no idea what the first card owned was by Jim Hopkins. Something from a revised booster or starter deck. Endgame says, my first cards were in an Apocalypse-themed deck. Apocalypse-themed deck, sorry, yeah. First rares were in that deck. I believe it was Phyrexian Arena. Oh yeah, okay. Ixalan was my first set. Kumena, Tyrant of Oreska. Tuxdev's first card. First rare I opened was a Creeping Tar Pit. I traded away ages ago. Also, you've only been in the game for, I mean, not, still a long time, but since Zendikar, right? Somehow, Tuxdev, I thought you've been around in the game a lot longer. My playset of Lords is the most memorable, says Jim. Yeah, so my most precious card, easily, the Thieving Magpie. My very first Magic card. Okay, Lassie says, who would win in a battle between Stang and Stang Twin? Okay, this is not going to be one of our questions because I have not a damn clue what that is, what that means. Vanda M, would you like to see a new Merfolk Planeswalker? What would his or her loyalty abilities be? I had my Merfolk Planeswalker. It was Oko! Oko Thief of Crowns. When I saw Oko, I'm like, oh my god, this is exactly what Merfolk needs. This is exactly what Merfolk needs. Okay, so if I were to make a Merfolk Planeswalker, the +1 ability, like the first ability needs to protect itself, and ideally it puts a Merfolk on the battlefield. Like even if it was a 1/1, I wouldn't care. Or maybe it should be a 2/2, so it like goes, I don't know. Can it go +1 like that? Can we go plus on the thing and then create a body on the battlefield? I don't know if that's too busted. It needs an ability that puts a body on the battlefield. It needs, so we get value out of it no matter what happens to the Planeswalker. Planeswalker has to be at least like 3 mana, all right? Can't be 4 mana or it's unplayable. Or if it's 4 mana, then it's got to do something amazing. Like it can win the game by itself, like Jace the Mind Sculptor. It needs to have high enough loyalty that's just not going to die to anything. Although I will accept, it needs to have high enough loyalty that it's not going to die to Lightning Bolt. It can die to everything else, but not Lightning Bolt. Or maybe it doesn't matter if we get the creature, so who cares? So it needs to put creatures on the battlefield, and maybe the other ability has a taxing effect that we could use to help slow the opponent down. So like spells that target us or a creature we control cost 2 more to cast, something like that. Cards that target like us or permanents cost 2 more to cast. So something about among that effect that we can get value out of this thing and not easy to kill. Oh, but how is this good enough? The thing that made Oko good is that it could interact with Ensnaring Bridge. So it needs to bounce permanents too. So it needs to bounce permanents, protect, and create creatures. That's my answer. And it has to cost 3 mana. I don't know how well. I don't know how to design it. You can all design it for me, but that's my answer. All right, so 2 more questions. Moontime Dweller. Nice to see you, Moontime Dweller. Long time no see. You've been dwelling in other places. Hey, Nikachu, many thanks for the discussions lately. I've seen no tricksters in the Merfolk combo deck in Legacy. What do you think of that? Well, I think there's more flex spots in that deck than it seems. Like, I don't know how important Phantasmal Image is, because Phantasmal Image, like, is it important for copying Thassa's Oracle? I'm not super high on Phantasmal Images, so maybe Merfolk Trickster can fit in there. But we definitely need the core cards plus the combo. So maybe there's room for Merfolk Trickster. But I haven't played the format. Maybe there's just no creatures to tap down, right? So if there's no creatures to tap down, then maybe Merfolk Trickster is not as important. But I do think whoops, damn it. I dropped my phone on the coffee. I soaked everything. No! Well, we're gonna cut. Well, I wouldn't say we're not gonna cut this short, but damn it, everything is soaked in coffee. Everything is soaked in coffee right now. That is the danger of coffee and Nikachu. What happened here? This is not so. My mount is not as secured. But okay, so to answer the question, did everyone enjoy the fall? Everyone got to experience like a fall onto the coffee. Everyone took a dive into the Nikachu coffee. So to better answer the question, I don't know if it's necessary in the combo deck, but if it is, maybe we can find some room, because there are, I think, at least from my outside perspective, there are flex spots in that Legacy deck. But I don't play the format, so I don't know. So now I saw Hugo did the 3 question mark thing, so that's good. It's gonna make things easier for me. So Hugo started and ended with the 3 question marks. How important is it for a format to have a viable rogue decks, smaller distance between the tiers, and what can be done about the tendency to only look at top decks when balancing the game? So I made a video about this during the Hogak meta. I think it's very important to have rogue decks. I think it's very important that rogue decks have some chance against the top decks right now in the meta, because if if rogue decks can't win, like period, like they can't at least average 2-2 at a local game store, or sometimes go 2-2, sometimes go 1-3, then the tier 2 decks have nothing to beat. And then if the tier 2 decks have nothing to beat, then all they do is get eaten up by the tier 1 decks, and then those tier 2 deck players start losing faith in the format, and they start like leaving. So I actually think it is very, very important that there are rogue decks that are playable. Like we can still see fringe stuff in the metagame. So I'm super for the rogue decks. I think rogue decks are very important to the health of a format. Because if there's no, like if you see in Standard, if rogue decks can't win at all, then Standard sucks. And it just turns into like a two deck format. But if there can be like, you know, maybe a pool of like 4 or 5 really strong decks, but a bunch of other decks satelliting around them, then I think that is a sign of a healthy metagame. So we do have to be concerned about like rogue decks having some presence in the metagame, or else you turn into Vintage, where it's just like a handful of really powerful decks. There's not really many rogue decks in Vintage, not in my opinion. All right, there was one more question with the question marks. Karisu Kuro says, "Hey Nikachu, I have a question about your companions for you. Let's say you had to put your companion into your hand and draw 1 less card at the start of the game. Would this solve the problem?" Yes. So that is the Jim Davis solution. I think it would solve the problem, and I think it would mostly solve the problem. I don't think it wouldn't be too bad. And then obviously now the police of Modern, Inquisition of Kozilek and Thoughtseize, can be utilized in this situation. It would take away the 8th card advantage. I still think Lurrus and Yorion still might be super OP strong, but the expensive companions will like lose a lot of value, because it's like it's a super clunky card immediately in your hand. You ideally don't want to see those cards in your starting hand. You want to see them later in the game. You want to draw into them. So starting with like a 5-drop in your hand, not really that exciting. Starting with Lurrus in your hand, that is very exciting. What do I want to say about this? Oh yeah, again, like we are probably not really seeing this thing change right now, because I think it's too short notice to start confusing the consumers after they've learned Companion works one way, and all of a sudden they switch on like very short notice. Like they've got so many videos up right now about how Companion works to educate people. You know, how this is how Mutate works, this is how Companion works. You know, these are the new mechanics of the set, and people have ingrained in their head how Companion is working. So it will confuse people on very short notice, and also I don't believe that they can change the software on short notice, both on Magic the Gathering Online and on MTG Arena. So I think that, and Wizards in the last BNR announcement, they said they're open to changing the rules. They are open to changing the rules, and then if we give them enough time, and people can settle down with the rules, and they can prepare the software engineers to change things, they are going to make the change. And maybe they will make this change. Maybe that's how it's going to be. We're just going to have to wait and see. So I do think it is a solution. Well, anyway, that is all the questions we're going to answer for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for the super chats. Yay, heart super chats. Awesome. I love the super chats. Because my brother and I, we are going to start recording some videos today. We have modern merfolk videos to record. What are we going to record today?
Probably a lot of companion bullshit.
That's right. The companion BS. Got to get back to what companion, huh?
What are we playing?
Yeah, so this week we're going to play Blue-White Lurrus, because I just made a sideboard guide for it on my Patreon. So let's play this deck, which I think is probably the best version of Modern Merfolk right now. Or, sorry, well, the best version of Companion Merfolk. So those who are playing it, this is what we're doing. And then afterwards, I'll go through like Mono Blue and Simic in the future. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for the super chats. Of course, if you want to still support the show, you know, you can support me on Patreon, also super chats and stuff like that. And we're going to be around again tomorrow, 10 o'clock, Central Standard Time, same channel, same YouTube channel. Thank you very much for the engagement. Thank you very much for all the great questions. We had a great conversation. I hope we've kept each other company, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.